It's nice to see you all again. It's Token back with another MPL Division 2 battle, as it is going to be week 4 now, and we do go against the Tennessee Trevenants and their coach MadArcher. We did unfortunately have to do this game today. I know usually it's best to do your battle before the day that you usually upload them, but unfortunately MadArcher was unable to meet up at the time that we did schedule on Sunday to do this battle, so we did have to reschedule for today, and now I'm trying to get this up for you guys. So thank you either ways for supporting. I do appreciate it as always. But yes, it is week 4. We are going against the Tennessee Trevenants. They're unfortunately not having the best season so far, as they are 0-3. And they have had a lot of slight losses. 2 of those losses were just 1-0s. So definitely not someone to underestimate. I won't be doing that in the slightest. We're still going to put our best foot forward and try to do our best in this matchup. So, especially considering my opponent has a very dubious duo that can be very scary for our team. And those first 2 Pokemon that you're looking at right at your screen right now, I will get his team pulled up on my phone, and we will quickly We'll quickly cover his team. And MadArcher's team that he was able to draft is going to be Manaphy, Tapu Koko, Ferrothorn, Rotom, Heat, Flygon, which is also a Z Pokemon, Mandibuzz, Mega Beedrill, Cofagrigus, Meloetta, Hariyama, and then Regirock. So my opponent was able to get a pretty solid team, and yeah, just lots of solid threats, especially that Tapu Koko and Ferrothorn. Tapu Koko's Thunderbolt in Electric Terrain just does so much damage to my entire team, so I'm really scared about that. And then Ferrothorn just has a solid matchup, as my fire type is Magmotor, which is very low tier, and it just really doesn't have the best matchup in this one. So yeah, Ferrothorn can be a pain, especially if it's Rocky Helmet, Iron Barbs. So just can really be a pain. Going to quickly go over MadArcher's team that I thought he'd bring, and then we'll quickly go over my team, and then we'll hop right into the game. In case you don't care about any of what I thought he'd bring, or exactly why I brought my sets, if you don't care about that, will be a timestamp right in front of you right now, so you can just go right ahead on to the battle. But for those of you who care, stick right on with me, and we'll get right into it now. So first and foremost, I was thinking Tapu Koko, obviously a huge start to my team. I really don't have my one switch into this in a ground type in Landorus. It's 4 times weak to ice, so my opponent can just slap on that Hand Power Ice, and they don't really have to worry about Landorus too much from there. So definitely thought Tapu Koko would be brought. And I was just thinking a pretty standard one with just like Thunderbolt to hit things very hard with that stab in Electric Terrain, Volt Switch for Switch Initiative, Dazzling Gleam for like Dragonite, and just another stab option to hit things decently hard, and then Hand Power Ice for my Landorus, and maybe even for the Dragonite too. But a few other options my opponent can run, maybe over Dazzling Gleam, in case they thought that was kind of redundant with the Hidden Power Ice, or over Hidden Power Ice, in case my opponent didn't want to use this didn't want to kind of like try to make the prediction when I'd switch in Landorus or whatever with this Tapu Koko. So yeah, just a few other options, and like my opponent can run like Calm Mind, they can run not Quick Attack, Nature's Madness, maybe Light Screen, they can run Roost, and they can run Taunt, Thunder Wave, Toxic, or U-Turn. So a few other options for my opponent with this Tapu Koko, but this is pretty much what I was thinking. Then moving on to Ferrothorn, I thought a Rocky Helmet, Iron Barbs one would definitely be bras. I have a lot of U-Turners, and that's when you can take most advantage of your opponent's team with a Rocky Helmet Pokemon. And who is better at using a Rocky Helmet than Ferrothorn, considering that it also has Iron Barbs, which also takes a little bit of chip damage off of Pokemon that hit this Pokemon with a physical type hit. So I thought that made a lot of sense. A decent amount of investment in HP, but a lot going into defense to take those defensive hits really easily. I was thinking Stealth Rocks, because Rocks is good against my team. Leech Seed for a form of recovery. Gyro Ball to hit a lot of things really hard, as I really didn't have switch-ins to Gyro Ball, and then Power Whip to just for a powerful stab, and to also be super effective on Tapu Fini. So pretty much what I was thinking with Ferrothorn. We'll right along, we get into Mega Beedrill, and no need for Protect, considering now in Generation 7 those Megas do get their speed on that first turn instead of the turn after Mega Evolving. So no need for Protect. A lot of different options my opponent can run instead of Roost here, and like they can run, what am I looking at? They can run maybe Swords Dance, maybe Tailwind, Toxic Spikes, Toxic. Just a few different options my opponent can run here instead of Roost, but I was thinking Roost might be the most effective, especially if I was able to get up Rocks, just to keep this Mega Beedrill at the highest amount of health possible. U-Turn for a quality stab option, Poison Jab obviously for another quality stab option, and super effective on Tapu Fini. And then Knockoff, as I thought Knockoff could be a little scary, as I needed a lot of the items for this team, just a standard set. Moving on to Rotom Heat. Considering that literally all 4 of these Pokemon, Tapu Koko, Ferrothorn, Beedrill, and Rotom, all have powerful stab moves that are all super effective on Tapu Fini, I thought Will-O-Wisp made a lot of sense on Rotom, so my opponent can maybe burn a lot of my physical threats that may be in on this Rotom or that may be coming in on this Rotom. So I thought Will-O-Wisp made a lot of sense, and made me a little scared of getting my physical threats burned, considering that I knew Tapu Fini wouldn't be switching in a lot in this game, if at all. So I just thought a Will-O-Wisp, Overheat, Volt Switch, and Pain Split set made a lot of sense. No real need for Thunderbolt, considering that Tapu Koko really kind of has that covered. And main only notable thing about this set is kind of all over the place, was just that I thought my opponent would make sure that they weren't speed crept by Tapu Fini. As Tapu Fini is an 85 base speed stat and Rotom Heat has an 86 base speed stat. So I thought he'd just make sure that, run a decent amount of speed just to make sure that he's able to get his Volt Switch or Thunderbolt off on Tapu Fini before I'm able to go for a Scald or Hydro Pump or Muddy Water, just before I'm able to go for any of that. Next, I was thinking a Choice Scarf Flygon. Made sense just to make sure that Dragonite didn't do too much damage to my opponent's team, as Dragonite is pretty threatening against my opponent's team. And so I thought Scarf Flygon made it so that even after 1 Dragon Dance, I don't outspeed this. My opponent can just go for a Dragon Claw or an Outrage and take out Dragonite, so it doesn't sweep my opponent's team. And like Earthquake, U-Turn, Dragon Claw, and like Outrage, just to be really just to coverage, switch initiative, and just to do stuff. May go for, there's a few other options my opponent can go for over Dragon Claw or over Outrage if they just want to use Dragon Claw, but I thought the use of both of them made sense, but you never know. And then last but definitely not least, we have Manaphy, as Manaphy is going to be my opponent's best way of just getting a tank and a hit from Landorus or Dragonite and getting off that Ice Beam and knocking out both of those two. Dragonite after Multi-Scale was already broken. And yeah, just Tailglow obviously, it's just so good. Even though I have some faster threats, just definitely very good. Still, can definitely Tailglow up on a decent amount of my slower threats like Reuniclus, Tapu Fini, just a few things, so it made sense. And then just no need for Scald, considering that Tapu Fini may set up that terrain, so Surf. And then yeah, just Energy Ball, so for coverage for Tapu Fini. So just a pretty standard Manaphy, so it makes sense. Then we'll move right on to my team. And first and foremost, I was thinking that I needed something that at least had a chance to not be 2-hit KO'd by Thunderbolt in electric terrain from Tapu Koko, and that's exactly what I got from Reuniclus. It is a roll, but a roll that's heavily in my favor for me not to be 2-hit KO'd by Thunderbolt in electric terrain on this 252 special defense invested Reuniclus with a sassy nature. Just wanted to be as slow as possible so that I had something for Ferrothorn's Gyro Balls. So yeah, that's why I'm sassy and have no IVs in speed. Then just like Psychic and Shadow Ball for coverage. I kind of wanted to run Focus Blast so I could actually hit the Meloetta, as it's a normal type, and then it turns to a normal fighting type if it does the whole song thing, Relic song thing. But yeah, I kind of was contemplating Focus Blast over Shadow Ball, but I thought Cofagrigus had a decent chance of being brought, as its Mummy ability could be really annoying, and it was pretty much my opponent's only real like check or real answer to high jump kicks firing off from Mind Chow. So I thought the Shadow Ball made more sense, and it's just obviously more reliable, as well as Focus Blast is what I would have replaced that with, and Focus Blast can miss a lot. So that's what I was thinking with Reuniclus, Mucinex to Reuniclus, really standard regenerator, because I thought I'd need it. I'd need that recovery, and we don't have a Wish Patch this week. So that's pretty much what I was thinking. Pretty standard set with just Psychic, Shadow Ball for coverage, and then Calm Mind and recover. Calm Mind, as there's a lot of things I can Calm Mind up on and recover for longevity. Next, we do have Tapu Fini. Even though it's so threatened in this game, still do think it was worth bringing, especially for Manaphy, as I can if Manaphy Tailglows in front of my Tapu Fini, I can Calm Mind, and I can at least live one Energy Ball, so I like that. And yeah, this Tapu Fini, I knew it wouldn't be switched in a lot, so I didn't really see what leftovers did for me, as I didn't need that consistent recovery, as I wouldn't be switching in a lot. Even if I did go for the substitute, it would be broken really quickly, and I just didn't see what leftovers did, especially if I wasn't able to set up a sub in this game. So I went with the Wiki Berry just in case I did get to that low amount of health, and then I can just rise all the way back up, and that can be the difference from Tapu Fini actually being able to take something out and not being able to take something out. So I thought the Wiki Berry gave me like a more, it's a little bit more niche-y, but I thought it gave me something that actually be more useful than leftovers, and I didn't really see any other item making much sense on this Tapu Fini, so I did want some form of recovery, and that's what Wiki Berry offered for me. And just like Scald, I considered Hydro Pump because it at least was a roll to Oko, Tapu Koko and Electric Terrain with the Thunderbolt, bring me down to my, oh no, outside of Electric Terrain in Misty Terrain, bring me down to the health where the Wiki Berry would be popped open, and then I could go for a Hydro Pump and have a chance to Oko Tapu Koko, but I didn't like the consistency of Hydro Pump and didn't think it was worth it just having that chance to Oko Tapu Koko, so Scald for more reliable, Moonblast obviously for the other stab option, Substitute just in case I saw something I could sub on, maybe like Cofagrigus if it's brought, and then Calm Mind just to start to become more of a threat to my opponent's team. And yeah, just the EV spread, it's pretty standard for a doubles Fini. I liked this EV spread in this game though, even though this isn't doubles, because it does have a lot of HP investment, which I like, has a decent amount of defense investment, which will allow me to at least live one Ferrothorn, Power Whip, decent special attack investment that it does become pretty threatening after a Calm Mind, and then the 44 in special defense, so that outside of Electric Terrain I can definitely live a Thunderbolt, and there's a few other hits I can take here. And then a 28 in speed is just in case my opponent went with a 0 speed or like a 4 speed Rotom Heat, I can outspeed that with the 28 investment and be able to get off a powerful Scald before Rotom H is able to Volt Switch or anything. So pretty much what I was thinking with Fini. Moving right along, we get into a pretty interesting set in my Dragonite, which is going to be Roselli Berry with Multiscale. And what I was thinking here is this is pretty much just my backup answer to Tapu Koko, but also my setup sweeper in this game as well, as my opponent doesn't have much answers for this, especially after Manaphy is at a small enough health to where I can actually take it out with one hit, so it can't fire back off that Ice Beam on us. This is a very threatening Pokemon, and the way it's my backup answer to Tapu Koko is the fact that with Roselli Berry I will be able to take the Dazzling Gleam really well. I guess I could have also went Yachi, I guess, for the Hidden Power Ice, but I don't think a Hidden Power Ice would have took us out. I'm pretty sure it wouldn't have. So I thought the Roselli Berry was just a little bit better from that aspect. So I can live one hit, go for a Dragon Dance, and then definitely take out Tapu Koko with an Earthquake that following turn. So I kind of liked that. The EV spread is pretty standard. Just enough investment so that I can, after a Dragon Dance, I outspeed Tapu Koko, so that was pretty much all I was worried about. The only thing faster than Tapu Koko on my opponent's team is that Mega Beedrill, and it can't do anything to Dragonite, so I wasn't really worried about that. And yeah, then I just threw the rest as much as I could in attack, and then the rest was dumped into special defense just to maybe take Hidden Power Ices or whatever my opponent decided to go for as well as possible. Guess I could have maybe won Lumberry, but I didn't think that, I wasn't sure my opponent would run Will-O-Wisp on Rotom H, and I wasn't sure he'd be able to get a Will-O-Wisp burn off on us. So maybe Lumberry was better, but I like the set. And Dragon Claw, Earthquake, Fire Punch for what am I thinking of? The Ferrothorn and for the Mega Beedrill, and Earthquake for the Tapu Koko, and then Dragon Claw for Stab, neutral, strong Stab on a bunch of Pokemon. So pretty much what I was thinking with Dragonite. My setup sweeper in case I needed a setup sweeper at the end of the game. So pretty much what I was thinking there. Next we do go into Landorus Therian, and yes, Landorus is going to be scarfed for the 4th time, 4 weeks, and we've had Scarf Landorus each and every time. I thought it was necessary though, as I felt this was easily my best way of dealing with Tapu Koko. It just put so much pressure on my team, and I wanted something that in case Tapu Koko was taking out Pokemon, I can every time switch in Landorus and know that I can threaten it out with a Scarf EQ every single time. So I liked the idea of that. And I just didn't see a better answer on my team, honestly. So Scarf Landorus, again, the difference in this one is that we are running a little less speed than we ran last week. I can't remember what was so fast on my opponent's team last week, but I think it was, did they have Pheromone? No, I haven't played the Pheromones as a person, but I don't know. That's something that was really fast. This is enough speed to outspeed Mega Beedrill and anything else barring Scarf, so that's all I needed there. I just put a little bit more in special defense, and then I threw the rest in HP and defense because I did want to take maybe a Gyro Ball a little bit better from Ferrothorn, so I thought putting a decent amount more EVs in HP might not be the worst idea. Dump the rest in in attack, and then pretty much the rest was thrown in special defense. But yeah, just Earthquake, Stone Edge, U-Turn, and Stealth Rocks. I did consider not outspeeding Beedrill, considering that it can't really do much to me, but I was thinking that my opponent might think they could just U-turn off of Landorus at some point in the game, and I did like the idea of maybe catch them by surprise and hit them with a powerful Stone Edge and O-Coin Mega Beedrill early on, or maybe just at any point in the game, and it just being really nice for us. So pretty much what I was thinking there, and why I'm running Stone Edge. Well, obviously also for the Rotom H. And yeah, Stealth Rocks is going to be nice in this one, as my opponent does have the Beedrill and the Rotom Heat. So at some point I will try to set up Stealth Rocks, U-turn for Switch Initiative, and Earthquake for the Coco, and just powerful stab on a lot of things. So not bad. Next we do have Mind Shower. Hand-me-downs the Mind Shower. And Mind Shower was a must bring in my opinion in this one, because of the fact that other than Cofagrigus, I think I already stated this, but other than Cofagrigus, my opponent literally has no switch in for a Mind Shower's high jump kick. It's going to do lots of damage to pretty much anything on my opponent's team. So I like the idea that this is also pretty much my best way of getting damage off on Ferrothorn as well, as long as it's not running Protect, because Leech Seed Protect, that can be pretty annoying if with high jump kick, as I can obviously miss those. So considering that, I did decide to go with Regenerator over Reckless for that reason, that my opponent can be running Protect, and we can obviously just miss high jump kicks, and I don't want that to just ruin Mind Shell's viability in this one. So Regenerator makes me feel more comfortable going for those high jump kicks against my opponent's team. Life Orb to do as much damage as possible. And then really simple on the EV spread. Just 222 allows me to outspeed everything I can outspeed, which is those base 100s in Manaphy and Flygon. 222 is all that's needed with a Jolly Nature, and then I just pretty much threw the as much as I could in attack, and then the rest was thrown in special defense, just to maybe take some special defense, some special attacks a little bit better. So pretty standard on the Mind Shell, but definitely a huge member of this team. Definitely someone I'm going to have to use well. Then last but not least, well, definitely pretty much least, not a Pokemon that I see doing much in this game, but I didn't really like anything else on my team. I pretty much saw that I was going to have to lean on these 5 in order for me to get a win in this game. I was going to have to lean on these 5 pretty heavily. So what I was thinking was what actually can help these 5. I just kind of wanted something that'd help those 5 win me the game, as I didn't think anything else was going to help me win the game. They would just help something else win the game. So I thought Komala did the best of that, because it can rapid spin away hazards and not get rid of my hazards with like Defog on Scissor or Defog on Tapu Fini. So that's pretty much what I was thinking. Pretty much only just wanted Komala to be my Defogger and to help get away hazards for Dragonite, to keep its multi-scale enacted, and just to get rid of hazards in general. Hazards they're not the worst against exactly what we're bringing, but it definitely can be annoying, especially for Landers too. So pretty much what I was thinking there. Assault Vest allows me to live as much as these special hits as possible, and be able to rapid spin a few times in this game. And then slow U-turn didn't sound bad either, so that allowed me to get into some of these more powerful, faster threats that are a little bit more frail, is a little bit more easier, so I liked that. And yeah, just a pretty standard, just went as specially defensive as possible with the Assault Vest, so I can tank out those hits, and maybe even tank out a Thunderbolt from Tapu Koko and then hit it back with an Earthquake. So kind of what I was thinking there, but mainly just wanted this for rapid spin to get rid of those hazards, but keep my hazards on my opponent's side of the field, and for that slow U-turn. Didn't really expect Komala to be doing much of anything else. Just didn't like anything else on my team really much in this matchup, and I thought Komala at least provided a niche that I knew it was going to be able to do effectively. So that's pretty much what I was thinking on my team going into this game. When it comes to leads, I didn't really have a lead, honestly. My best lead was definitely Landorus, but I felt like that kind of revealed that it'd be Scarf right off the bat, but I feel like it was necessary, as I really didn't like anything else as a lead in this one. So that is what I'm pretty much set on leading with in this game. Not much, I guess if my opponent leads with like Manaphy, I'll switch out, but yeah, that's pretty much what I was thinking. So I'll meet you guys at the game. And alright, here we are, guys. We are at the game now against MadArcher, and as you can see, as I'm looking at his team, I see no Flygon, so that makes me feel really confident in the fact that Dragonite might be able to definitely sweep my opponent's team in this one. And yeah, other than that, I also see no Cofagrigus, so that makes Mind Shell's high jump kicks look very nice, and it makes me feel like I will just kind of just fire those off pretty rapidly and not really be too worried. Obviously, I'll scout for, or I'll see if Ferrothorn has the Protect. If it doesn't have it, then yeah, I'm going to run a little bit of havoc with those high jump kicks on my opponent's team. And yeah, I don't really know what else to expect. I'm not really sure why Meloetta is brought. I'm just looking at it like we'll see exactly what it does and what it exactly decides to do. I'm not really sure what exactly it's going to do. I really don't have much experience playing against Meloetta, so that's honestly a pretty nice bring on my opponents in, considering that I'm pretty inexperienced against Meloetta. But yeah, everything else pretty much exactly what I thought would be brought. So let's just hop right into this one. Let me make that normal speed. So my opponent does lead with the Meloetta, which was really interesting to me. I didn't know what exactly this thing was going to do or what it'd try to do. I just go for the U-turn right off the bat. So my opponent does decide to go right into that Ferrothorn, and we see right away that this Ferrothorn is going to be that Rocky Helmet plus Iron Barb's Ferrothorn that I did predict coming. So it makes a lot of sense. I then go right into my Mind Shell, and I'm like, it's time to fire off those high jump kicks. No reason not to. Unfortunately, we do miss the first one we go for. So thankfully, I did make sure that we are regenerated. We will just switch right on out. No reason to stay in. We'll go right into Mucinex, our Reuniclus, but unfortunately, my opponent gets a Para, a Thunderbolt 10% Para, and this ends up being a huge deal. It didn't matter that much to me in the moment, as I was like, Reuniclus is already pretty slow. As long as I don't get parried like a bunch of times, should be fine. This is probably the most thing. Like, obviously Komala would have been something else that wouldn't have mattered if it got parried, but either way, Reuniclus getting parried was one of the best things I could have gotten parried, so I didn't feel too bad. But this ends up being a pretty big deal later in the game. You guys will see. You guys will see exactly why. Anyways, though, here though, I'm not really sure why my opponent went into Coco. I'm not sure what they're expecting me to do. I guess they could have expected me to go for a Calm Mind here. They could have expected me to go for a recover, I guess, but I'm at a decent amount of health already, so cover doesn't make much sense. And I didn't know what my opponent would go into. I wanted to go for the Calm Mind, considering that I knew I can Calm Mind up and 1v1 that Rotom. I can 1v1 a lot of my opponent's team with this Reuniclus. But I didn't want Beedrill to get a free switch in, as I thought that would make a lot of sense for my opponent to go into other than Tapu Koko. So I actually went for the Psychic here, predicting the Beedrill switch in. But my opponent went into Tapu Koko, and that still does over half. So I'm like, that's solid. I'm just going to go for another Psychic, not try to over predict or anything. And yeah, just go for another Psychic. Opponent does Volt Switch, definitely their best play and what I was thinking they would likely do. And just go into that Ferrothorn. So it makes a lot of sense. Not bad though. I didn't want to over predict or anything. So I will just switch out Reuniclus now because I'm not running Focus Blast. And here I was thinking my opponent would go for Rocks or they'd go for Leech Seed. One of those two. Do go for Leech Seed, which is fine. I'm ready to fire off another high jump kick and hope that we can actually hit this one. And we do hit this one, and we bring Rotom down to 29%. But unfortunately, it is going to get that leftovers recover as well as that Leech Seed recovery. And I don't want a chance missing another high jump kick and actually losing our our Mind Shell. I didn't want to risk losing Mind Shell to a miss high jump kick there, so I decided to actually switch out and go into Landorus. And my opponent went into Beedrill. Pretty interesting. It does resist the high jump kick, so it makes sense. I thought there was a chance my opponent would stay in and go for the U-turn there, considering that they are faster without the Scarf, but it kind of revealed Scarfed from the start, so maybe not my best play to just go for the Stone Edge here. I probably should have went for Stealth Rocks or something, but I wasn't sure. Went for the Stone Edge just to see if my opponent would risk staying in. I think I pretty much 100% revealed that I was Scarfed by going for that Stone Edge now. I do go into Dragonite now, knowing that my opponent will likely try to go on the offensive. Maybe I was thinking Gyro Ball, but go on the offensive to not allow a free Mind Shell switch in like they have the previous 2 times. And yeah, I go into Dragonite. I take that Power Whip like beautifully, but unfortunately, though, I get a little greedy here and I go for the Dragon. I go for the Dragon Dance really early on in this game. And the reason this was a mistake, probably my only real huge mistake I made in this game, to be 100% honest, is because I was unfortunately calcing for multi-scale Dragonite when I was calcing against this Manaphy, and multi-scale Dragonite would have only taken, if it still had its multi-scale, as you can see I'm not at 100% health, but it only took like 60% from an Ice Beam, so that would have been solid. Fortunately though, I was thinking that was the regular without multi-scale calc. I should have definitely made sure. Another bonehead play, that's like my freaking Bullet Punch in Psychic Terrain last week. It didn't cost me the game, but it was still really stupid with the Bullet Punch last week in Psychic Terrain, and that's pretty much what this was. Just really stupid. It wasn't like a extremely costly play, but Dragonite definitely had a very solid matchup in this one. It had such a solid matchup in this game, and I definitely should have waited on going for this type of setup, because I do go for the Dragon Claw here, and it does do about 67% like I saw, but the Ice Beam does take me out, and then I realized afterwards that I calced for multi-scale, even though I knew in the back of my mind that I should have made sure I wasn't calculating for multi-scale. Anyways, though, it's fine. We lose Dragonite early on. It is 6-5 early on, but we will be able to go right into Mind Shell and fire off another very powerful high jump kick. My opponent goes into B-Drill. It's like, that's fine. It's going to take over half. And then I just can go into Landorus, and this is an every time switching into this B-Drill. Just can't do much of anything. Landorus was just both its stab options, and it doesn't have much recovery outside, much of a move pull outside of that other than knockoff. And that would have been pretty big if my opponent would have knocked off our choice Scarf, but they don't. They just go for the U-turn, which makes sense. I kind of thought that. We do exchange rocks there, as I thought it was kind of time. We're doing a lot of switching. I thought it was definitely time to get my rocks up and start to whittle down that B-Drill definitely, as well as that Rotom Wash. Just my opponent's team in general. I then get the heck out of there as I am choice Scarf, so I was locked in the Stealth Rocks and just going to Reuniclus. We take the Power Whip well, as I then go for a recovery to get us back in a decent amount of health. My opponent, unfortunately, with us being paired and lead seated, this is not a game that I think we can win. So I do switch into Mind Shell here, and I thought about this play for a while, as I thought after the lead seed it made a lot of sense for my opponent to just go on the offensive and try to just whittle down our health. Thought there was a chance he might go for a second lead seed, but I knew it didn't make much sense. So I thought my opponent would go for the Gyro Ball or the Power Whip here. And fortunately enough for us, it looks like our opponent does not have Gyro Ball, and they only have the Power Whip, and they actually miss it. So it actually to an extent makes up for us missing our high jump kick early on. But then we proceed to then miss a second high jump kick in this game, as our opponent then stayed in and went for a Power Whip, and they missed a Power Whip. So this is just Haxie all over. I don't even know what's going on at this point. But they did miss. If we wouldn't have missed there, their miss wouldn't have mattered. So I think the hacks kind of evened out in total. At this point, the hacks is pretty much evened out, other than the Reuniclus para. But I do think the 2 high jump kick misses, as well as the 2 Power Whip misses, just kind of evened itself out. The first one did matter a lot, because then I probably wouldn't have went for the high jump kick from the start, though, because it wouldn't have taken me out. My opponent's Power Whip with that Ferrothorn on the switch in would not have taken out Mind Shell, but it would have put us at a small enough amount of health to where I probably wouldn't have felt comfortable going for a high jump kick there. Would have probably had to switch back into Reuniclus or something, and then try to find a better opportunity to go into Mind Shell there. So definitely a big play that my opponent missed that initial one, but I don't think the second one mattered, considering that I also missed mines, and if I would have just hit mines there, wouldn't have mattered. So just so Haxie right there, and just really annoying. But overall, though, we do end up taking out the Ferrothorn, which is a huge deal and is really nice. And with Regenerator, we will be able to get Mind Shell back to a decent amount of health. So Regenerator's being really coming through for us here. Opponent does go into that Meloetta to revenge our Mind Shell here, though. I do just go right into Mucinex, though, just to take the Hyper Voice or the Psychic. End up taking the Psychic and take it really, really well. So I then decided it's time to go for a Calm Mind. Didn't know if my opponent would stay in or if they'd switch out. I think it's time for a Calm Mind. So I go for that, see what my opponent will go into. They go into the Coco, and here though, this is a huge play, and this is where the pairs start to make a huge deal. So my opponent ended up going for a taunt there, thinking I'd go for another Calm Mind. No reason to go for another Calm Mind here. I just need to go for the damage. B-Drill's still around, so that means that I'm not going to be able to just completely, like, I'm not going to be able to sweep here. B-Drill's still around, so I had no reason to go for another Calm Mind in my opinion. My opponent taunted anyways, and that meant that I get a free kill on their Tapu Koko here, as long as I don't get parried, but of course I get parried here. So this allows my opponent to, even though they made a huge misplay in my opinion by going for taunt there, they are able to go for a Wild Charge, which does take their selves out, which I don't know why they didn't just run Thunderbolt, but either way, the Wild Charge brings us all the way down to 6%, 12% after the leftovers recovery. And this is a huge deal, because it means now that my opponent doesn't have to switch in the Mega Beedrill on rocks again, because Mega Beedrill, when we were at the health we were at before the Wild Charge, before the full para, Mega Beedrill would have been the only Pokemon that could come in and actually threaten this Reuniclus out. But because of that Wild Charge taking us all the way down to 6% and then 12% after the leftovers, my opponent was able to bring in Meloetta and use it as a revenge killer to this Reuniclus, which is really unfortunate. Mega Beedrill coming in would have meant it took more rocks damage, I don't think it would have been taken out by rocks there, but it would have took more rocks damage, and then I could have just went into Landorus, and then it would have just huge turned and not done much. Like, they wouldn't have gained like any momentum from that, but unfortunately my opponent was able to get a free switch into Meloetta, and now we have a really weakened Reuniclus. Thankfully we do have regenerators, so we will be able to regenerate off some of that damage, but I do have to get out of there. And I just go into Komala pretty much to sack it. All I'm pretty much thinking is I want to get more intel on what type of Meloetta this is. We'll see if my opponent, what exactly they do. And I just want to get rid of hazards on my side of the field. They're just a little annoying, and Komala doesn't do anything in this game at this point other than just get rid of hazards. So I allow it to do its one job as I do sack it. And since my opponent went only for Hyper Voices there, I do kind of conclude that they are likely Scarf, but I don't think they're faster than my Landorus. For some reason in my mind I'm thinking his Scarfer is not faster than my Landorus. I put a good amount of speed to make sure I outspeed everything I needed to. I'm pretty sure my opponent maybe just did the same thing, so towards my team. So hopefully our Scarfer is actually faster than their Scarfer, considering that I think my fastest Pokemon is actually slower than my opponent's fastest Pokemon. So if they just try to outspeed my fastest threat, then my Scarfer would be faster. So that's what I was pretty much thinking. I'm still faster than my opponent's Meloetta, even though I am thinking that it's Scarf here. So I just go for the EQ, which will then take out Beedrill. My opponent pretty much sacked that. They do pretty much know that we're Scarf at this point though, as my opponent does know that and goes into Rotom Heat, as I do have to switch out here, and I go into Mucinex the Reuniclus. My opponent goes for a Pain Split. It doesn't really matter. They don't really gain much health at all from that, so I like the Reuniclus switch in. Opponent does go for an Overheat here, which puts them down low, and I'm thinking, oh, we're in a solid spot, we can dish out so much. I just need to recover, and then I can start to Calm Mind, and we're in a solid position. Unfortunately though, I do get fully parried again on Reuniclus, and that means I am in range to be taken out by this Rotom, which then forces me to have to go into Landorus here, as I don't think my opponent will Will-O-Wisp. They'll just go for another Overheat, or they'll go for another Thunderbolt. So yeah, they go for Thunderbolt, so I am immune to that, so the switch-in's nice, but it does mean I'm going to have to lock myself into something, and the only move that's going to take out this Rotom is Stone Edge, so I'm forced to lock myself into Stone Edge, unfortunately. And here, I could have went for another Stone Edge, but I didn't want to risk the Misk on Manaphy, especially considering at this point I still thought Landorus was the fastest Pokemon left in this game. I thought my Scarfer was faster than my opponent's Scarfer, so I'm like, there's no reason to risk Landorus. It's pretty much my win con at this point. I don't want to risk it and miss that Stone Edge, so I decided to switch out into Tapu Fini. Especially, it hasn't been in. Let's get Tapu Ginny to the Tapu Fini, a little bit of limelight as we tank out that Ice Beam. My opponent was forced to go for Ice Beam there. Here, I'm pretty sure that they'll definitely go for a Tail Glow, but I know if I go for a Calm Mind, I can live one Energy Ball no matter what, and I can take my opponent out with the Moonblast, so I'm not too worried. And yeah, we're exactly able to do that. We get brought down to 33%, which is fine. And we take out Manaphy, so it's looking like 4-1. It's looking like we're in a solid position. I know in my head that as long as this Meloetta, I'm sure that it's Scarf at this point. I know that as long as this Meloetta isn't Scarf Modest, I can certainly take it out here with Tapu Fini, barring a crit. And we're in a solid position, so I'm thinking, yeah, we should be able to live this, as long as it's not Scarf Modest Meloetta. We live this, we take it out, we win the game, we get a 4-0, that's solid. Unfortunately, my opponent crits us though, gets a crit there, and after the game, I'll just let it play out. That crit matters though. I'm gonna let it play out. I'm not gonna say why exactly, everything behind that just yet. So I do go into Landorus now. I'm thinking, okay, that took out the crit. The crit happened, blah blah, it took us out. I'm still thinking that I'm faster than this Meloetta though, so I'm thinking I could just go for an EQ here and take out Meloetta. But unfortunately, it actually outspeeds me and goes, and obviously locked in, goes for another Psychic and takes out Landorus. So I'm thinking, wait, what the heck just actually happened? Turns out this is a timid Meloetta that's running full speed, so it actually is faster than our Landorus, because I'm not fully invested in speed. I just outsped I'm running 164 I think in speed, just to outspeed that Mega Beedrill. Didn't feel any need to go fully invested in speed. Thought those EVs would be better used elsewhere. Unfortunately though, that means that Meloetta would be able to take us out now, but that means that 100% that crit did matter on Tapu Fini, as that means this is definitely a timid Meloetta, which in no circumstance with Psychic could have taken out our +1 in special defense Tapu Fini under no circumstance other than a crit. So this hack skin, it's getting pretty ridiculous at this point, as we've already had the 2 full pairs. We already had that fiasco with Mindshell and Ferrothorn. Ferrothorn missing 2 power whips, me missing 2 high jump kicks. Mine being a little bit more meaningful though at this point, and it's literally just been the power whips for my opponent. My opponent getting that Thunderbolt para, it's just so ridiculous. Honestly, it's really annoying. But anyways, though, I know that I can still win this game as long as I don't get fully paired with Reuniclus like several times. As long as I'm able to recover up, go for Calm Minds, recover up. I'm actually going to put the speed on fast for this, as this ends up being really ridiculous, as the hacks doesn't stop. It ends up continuing here as I'm able to recover and I'm able to get up a Calm Mind, but then my opponent gets that first special defense drop with Psychic. They then get a second special defense drop with Psychic right in a row, go for another Calm Mind, because I need 4 Calm Minds to take out Meloetta at this health with 1 Psychic. My Shadow Ball is my only other move. I can't take it out. Gets a third special defense drop in a row as well as a crit there. Or I don't think that one was a crit, but gets a full pair twice in a row and then gets the crit on that turn after that and got that special defense drop. So pretty ridiculous. I'm finally able to recover that off though. Gets another special defense drop as I go for the Calm Mind. Oh my god, just too much for me. Gets another crit and another special defense drop with the crit. Just so ridiculous. And here I go for another Calm Mind to try to get my special defense at a decent amount, considering that I'm like -3 on special defense now. It's another special defense drop as I recover, and I'm just like, this is so ridiculous at this point. And yeah, I go for another Calm Mind trying to get our special defense at a decent amount, and now I know that a Psychic will take out my opponent, but I just want to recover up to make sure we're at a decent health. Get paired though, so another full pair. And now my opponent actually ran out of Psychics. It's been this ridiculous to the point to where they're actually out of Psychics, and I wasn't able to go for a move yet. Now though, I actually try to go for a Psychic there to just end off the game as my opponent's struggling themselves out, and I wanted to get the kill for Reuniclus, but unfortunately though, I got full paired again. So 4 full pairs in that little fiasco, as well as probably like 5 or 6 special defense drops with Psychic, as well as 2, maybe 3 crits with Psychic as well. So just a ridiculously hacksy game. The Thunderbolt 10% pair was already big enough, especially with 2 full pairs to go with that were both really meaningful. The first one with Tapu Koko going for Taunt, I would have taken it out for free there, and that would have meant that my opponent would have been forced to go into their Mega Beedrill way earlier than they wanted to. And then the next one being the Overheat. On the Overheat, I got paired, which forced me to go into Landorus and have to lock it into Stone Edge, which then allowed my opponent to go for a Tail Glow, which then forced me to, which then got my Finny even into a range where a crit from Meloetta could take it out, because without that, then the crit wouldn't have even mattered from Meloetta onto Tapu Fini. But the fact that then it even got the crit is more hacks. And then that was just such a hacksy Meloetta. It was keen on haxing us, but I guess just a hacksy max all in general. Just I don't know, just not the funnest. Like, I know I won, and I should be happy that I won, and I am happy that we won this game, because in the end, that is all that matters. But at the same time, though, I feel like I played much better than a 2-0. I felt like I deserved a 4-0 at the least in this game, but unfortunately I was unable to get that because of a lot of hacks, and on top of just a lot of hacks, I did make the huge mistake of going for that early setup with Dragonite. I do think Dragonite could have easily swept and won this game a lot earlier, so it is some of it's on myself, as I should have definitely used my Dragonite better, and I feel like I could have avoided a lot of this. But at the same time, I did have what I needed to still win this game, but I just had to come down to this because of a lot of hacks. So it's just so annoying when hacks is that high. You guys don't want to hear me sit here and complain about hacks though. So anyways though, we do get the 2-0 win against the Tennessee Trevenants and their coach MadArcher. GG's, man. I wish it wasn't as hacksy, but I guess that's the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. Anyways though, we are now 3-1 on a 3-game winning streak, so not doing bad at all. So hopefully we can continue this up. There's some other coaches doing good though, so we'll see how that goes. as of before this week, Absolute Destruction was 3-0, so he's still doing really good. That's the one coach we've lost to so far. So yeah, so we'll have to wait and see exactly how the rest of the season will pan out. But I'm feeling good. We're using the team a lot better, and things are going well. So thank you guys for tuning in. Really appreciate the support. I appreciate it as always. I'll see you guys in the next MPL Division 2 battle. For now, though, I'm gonna get the heck out of here. I'll see you guys. Peace out. Have a good one.